All right. Hey everyone, how you doing? Nolan and I are here for another segment. Hanging out today on a Dear Heretics, Nolan. We had a doozy come in. Actually, this morning, someone texted me and I was like, Nolan and I are recording today, and I don't think we have anything that's pressing. So let's talk about this one, Nolan. So here's the reading. Hey Kelly, how you doing? Yada yada yada. I'm feeling excited. I'm thinking of joining this company. Yada yada yada. Purely selfishly, wondering if you and Nolan have some hot takes or can do an episode on the first 30, 60, 90 days of stepping into a chief people officer role. There's the usual fluency of the business, trust with stakeholders, assessing, etc. The founder is saying that maybe shadowing the CEO for the first 4 to 6 weeks is a good idea. Any hot takes or novel ideas you have here, or if this is great fodder for an episode, I would love it. Thank you.
All right. So this one I have a lot of thoughts on because I have not done it well historically. So when I was thinking about how should people think about coming into an organization, I think there's three goals. One is you're building trust and relationships. Two, you're getting quick wins. And then three, you're establishing yourself and your brand. So that sounds great. How do we do that? The first thing is like talking about the fail state. And I think the fail state is like not removing yourself from your last role. So you're like referencing your last role all the time. You're saying like, this is how we did things. Here's a playbook from, prior. It just like doesn't matter. And it doesn't land well with the people at the new company. The next thing is like you must over communicate with your CEO. So like you guys have to be on the same page all the time. And the hard part is like you're building this relationship, but you also want to be able to tell them like what's going on. And so I think the best way to do that is just to send a weekly snippet email. So like, here's what I did this week. Here's who I met with, like all of the things listed out. Because Kelly, as you and I both know, when humans don't have all the information, they assume the worst thing. The next is building relationships with execs. So you're obviously going to be working with these people for a long time, but like you need more time with these people. And I find that like one-on-ones don't cut it. Like you need to do lunches, dinners, breakfasts, get outside the office, get to know what's up with them, get to know them as people, and then start to just click in to understand like what's going well and what's not going well. Next is getting to the ground floor. So like execs operate at 70,000 feet. When you first get into an organization, I think you got to like do both. And I think this is the modern exec. We've been talking about this, but you need to talk to as many people as you can, especially the top performers and your team. One of the things that friend of the show, Colleen McCreary, did when she joined her new role is that she had like 100 one-on-ones in the first 90 days. Like, it's actually not that crazy when you think about the calendar and how you can do those things. So I love that tactic. I also love her tactic of sharing those learnings with the exec team, and then also potentially the redacted learnings with the broader company. As part of this, you should be like making assessments on your team. I think you got to be really careful about making assessments for people that are not on your team because you don't really know what's going on. In addition to that, like getting to the ground floor with customers. So joining sales calls, joining customer support calls, like figuring out like what those people are doing and how they're interacting with the customer base is huge, and acting like there's no job beneath you. As I mentioned, quick wins, like it's so important to be putting like wins on the board right away because otherwise people just wonder like, what the hell are you doing here? And then last thing is building relationships with the board. And you got to be delicate about this because these relationships typically have some baggage or things that you don't know about. And so you got to talk to the CEO about it. You got to make sure that the CEO is very much in line. But I think that's the hierarchy for me.
Love it. So I replied back to this friend because I'm in it right now. I said, well, that's incredible because I just got back from 2 days in Seattle, where CPO is headquartered, and I literally like presented this plan at the exec staff on Monday. And so I'll lead with, I think you hit on this a little bit, is tell everyone regularly and often, repeat it what you're going to be doing, and why you're going to be doing it and how you're going to be doing it. Like, that transparency is really important. So I presented 4 things. It literally said first 90 days. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the first one, you hit on some of these, Nolan. I'm just going to go through it because this is how I'm going to architect it in practice. So first of all, backing up before I even started, I pushed myself into, it wasn't hard, but I was like, hey, I haven't even started yet. Let me jump on your all hands meeting in August for 7 minutes. And I literally just had one slide, talk to the company about who I am personally, as well as professionally, how I work, why I'm stoked to be here, and gave them a heads up on how I'm going to spend my time. And I said, I'm not the regular HR person of a cool, like, remember the Mean Girls quote? I'm not a regular mom, I'm a cool mom. I was like, listen, I want to meet with you all. I really want to understand what's important to you, what's happening, what's going well, and where we might have some gaps as we grow, and also get to know the business. So if you don't throw time on my calendar, I'll throw time on yours. And when that happens, don't read into it or freak out, which can happen. So again, that spirit of telling everybody from the CEO all the way down how you're going to spend your time, and most importantly, why you're doing that. Okay, so the 4-point 90-day plan for me is listen and learn. Set that up. I'm going to have one-on-ones with every single person in the company. There's 140 of them today. Fine. The second is execute quick wins. So we all know when we start jobs in any functional lead role, there's shit on fire. There's stuff that needs to get done that hasn't. There's stuff in flight that might be heading for a dumpster fire, right? There's things that have been causing frustration or pain in the company for a long time, usually with the CEO and the leadership team, and jump on those. The third is shaping long-term strategy when you're doing that. You're not going to have that answer the first 10 days, but as you're doing those first 2 activities, you should be having a point of view on how the next 12, 18 months might look, how you're thinking about setting up your people team pillars, what those focus areas are going to be, and how they connect in with what's happening with the business as you learn more about the business and you attend board meetings or talk to people. And the fourth is building your scaffolding, right? Building your people team, or else you'll die. Because a lot of CPOs jump in the seat and they do all the things outside of the people team to try and build trust and execute and whatever it is. And they look back 3 months later and they still have the same team. And maybe there's not enough of them. Maybe they're not all great. Maybe the talent composition's wrong. And all of a sudden you're behind. And it's literally like standing in quicksand. And you'll fail. Now, the bitch of it is, and this is the reality, I'm just going to say it, you have to do all 4 of those things at once.
Yep.
And you have to do them in the first 3 months. And what that means, I told someone yesterday in Seattle, I said, listen, I kind of gave my family a heads up. Like, it is what it is. You gotta just get crushed and run on the hamster wheel at 3x speed the first 3 months to do all 4 of these things very well at the same time, or I think you're toast, Yep. And then once you do that, after those 3 months, the 3x speed, if you do it correctly, it jumps down to regular speed.
Yep.
And then if you do those things correctly, 9 months later, you might be at 80% of that. And that's where you can spend a lot of your time innovating, influencing, to your point, spending more time with the board, right? You're not like in the shit doing tactics all day long.
I strongly agree. What I would say is, like, the first 90 is a huge sprint, but you're also in a marathon. And so I love the tactic of telling your family and setting the expectation with them, like, you're not going to see me. The other one is like, you still need to take care of yourself. And for me, what that means is, like, I'm sleeping 7-8 hours a night. I'm eating well. I'm working out. Like, you have to do those things, because if you don't, people can feel the energy, and your energy has to be like elite when you walk into the building. One more is, like, what I heard from Henry at Carta CEO, which I thought was, like, really interesting and true. And it's not obvious, but when you come into an organization and you see things on fire, I think a human's first response is like, it's a shit show. Like, can you believe this joke over here? And you got to be really careful about that because you don't know what decisions they had to make in order to get them to where they are today. And I think reframing that slightly, as opposed to like, it's a shit show or it's a tire fire, to like, hey, like this is a problem, like this is something that we can solve over time. And like, I can't even imagine the decisions you guys had to make to get us to this point. Like, thank you for doing that. I loved when Henry said that to people because it really brought something to me that I was like, oh my God, I'm totally doing this. I'm looking around being like, that's on fire, that's on fire, that's on fire. Versus like, okay, like this is what's going on. Like, I appreciate all the work you guys have done.
Yes.
Really fast on the building a team though, Kelly. So this
Before,
one is,
before you go there,
yeah, go ahead. Go.
Just to that point, it's so real because I was so first of all, I was in Seattle for 48 hours. Everyone's like, why'd you go? Why are you up for 2 days only? Why don't you just wait? To your point about telling your family, I'm like, listen, I got to fly up there on Sunday. Everyone's going to this CPO summit, this annual thing on Wednesday. There is a window there because I'm not going to be back for a couple weeks. There is a 48-hour, 12-hour a day window that I am ready to influence some things and push some chess pieces forward, meaning I've had enough information that I can go up there now and sit with the CEO and sit with the leadership team on Monday and talk about my plan and get buy-in on that. Do you see what I mean? Like, you have to jump on these moments because if I didn't do that, it'd be 2 weeks later. And now all of a sudden we're 30 days in and no one knows what's happening. So to your point, you do have to sacrifice a little bit to find and capitalize on these moments as you're onboarding. It's really important. It would have been just as easy to say, nah, I'll just wait. So
Yeah.
hey everyone, we'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors. On this show, we tell the truth about HR. And one of my favorite conversations we've had was with Melanie Naranjo. She put it so simply, HR isn't about optimizing for compliance. It's optimizing for people, for culture, trust, and workplaces where folks actually want to stay. That's why I'm such a fan of what Melanie and her team at Ethena are building. She was brutally honest about it.
So Ethena, we're a compliance company, which let's just put it out there. That sounds pretty boring if you think about it, right? Okay, harassment prevention training, not very exciting, right? We are very lucky in that we are in the HR tech space that's required, right? Harassment prevention training is not really optional. You need it. The question is, who are you going to use for it?
Exactly. You're doing this training whether you want to or not. But here's what she told us about the impact.
The amount of impact that I've been able to have from the HR perspective has been just huge. It's phenomenal. We're doing all these amazing things that, quite frankly, too many companies don't do because they don't understand the power of their HR team.
Instead of boring, check-the-box training that everyone hates, Ethena delivers content that's modern and impactful. We're talking 200-plus courses in 100-plus languages with a 93% learner positivity rating to back it up. They take on all the tough topics, harassment prevention, workplace violence prevention, code of conduct, and make them actually engaging. And for HR, it's effortless. Training runs on autopilot with automated enrollments and reminders. There's even a built-in hotline and case management system to help a true speak-up culture. Look, you're going to do compliance training anyway. Why not use something that actually works and doesn't make your people want to hide under their desks? Done right, like with Ethena, compliance becomes a strategic tool. It's actually a way to reinforce your values and build a stronger workplace. Check them out at goethena.com/heretics. That's goethena, GOETHENA.com/heretics. Get 10% off of your first year. Your workforce is your organization's greatest strength and often its largest single expense. But without the right tools, understanding where your workforce spend is going or how it impacts your bottom line can be a challenge. That's where Planful comes in. With Planful, HR and finance teams get the clarity they need to make smarter workforce decisions, gain real-time visibility into workforce fluctuations, forecast with confidence, and adjust talent acquisition plans collaboratively based on costs today and into the future. No more guesswork, just data-driven insights to help you plan with accuracy. And the best part, Planful is fast and easy to implement, so you can be up and running in weeks, not months, with minimal IT support. Plus, as your company grows, Planful grows with you, providing endless runway for strategic workforce planning at any scale. Ready to take your workforce planning to the next level? Join over 1,500 organizations already using Planful. Visit planful.com/heretics to learn more. While I was up there, to your second point, literally live, at least 6 times people have told me, are you glad you still joined? You're coming back. It's such a mess. And I'm like, dude, you're 140 people. You just jumped in. I can't even tell you because it's confidential, but in revenue and valuation in a very short amount of time. You just closed your Series B like 2 weeks ago. You should be drinking champagne. Like, so again, it's about your point, like just building on this great stuff that these companies have built and taking them to the next level. So
Yeah, the other thing you're doing though, right, that I missed is like you're spending in-person time. And so regardless of if you're remote or hybrid, or even if you are like you must meet in person. Like that's how we connect as people, is like we trust more when we can experience that person in real life. And so like you flying to Seattle is such a great example of like whatever it takes to make sure like I can be around the humans.
I love that.
I do want to talk about building the team.
Yes.
Because like it's a dangerous game. And so I have a couple thoughts on this. One is like know as much information as possible before you walk in the door, right? And so you can already start to kind of have like a couple of dots on the map for where things are at. Ideally with your CEO. So before I joined Carta, I actually put together like a proposed org chart of just like, hey, I don't know if this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in there and get my hands dirty. But high level, this is ultimately what I think it will look like end state. What do you think? And just proposing those things early so there isn't any surprises when you ask for headcount, because I do think there's a soundbite on execs who want to come in and build these gigantic orgs. Yeah. And so you want to avoid that, but you also need to be very cognizant that like time is ticking and you need to get wins. And part of your wins is hiring great people.
Totally. To your point about in person, I can't stress it enough. It's a really, really great piece of advice is do unnatural things if you have to get in-person time with the right people. I akin it to like making tenure in academia. Do you know what I mean? Like you invest all that, you don't have to do it as much later. But even like I was talking to Jerry this morning and about some spicy stuff. And I guarantee you that spending the amount of time I spent with him 2 days ago in person on Monday made that conversation easier and able to get to that spicy point. It wouldn't have been bad, it still would have been straight up, but it just felt like I'd been at the company for 3 months.
Yep. And you can't replace it.
Totally. And building the team, to your point, I can't stress it enough either. Getting your shit together, you cannot build the rest of the house unless yours is somewhat in order, because what will happen at the very best is that you'll continue to tread water, but you'll be doing it. Exactly. You'll be dying. You'll be burnt out. You'll be in the middle of the organization, working from the inside, up, down, left, right. And you'll probably be viewed as not really strategic because you're in there just doing stuff all day and doing tactics. So it's going to, impact your brand, I would say. And at the very worst, you're going to fail because they're either going to be like, what are you doing? You're, counting beans in the middle of the organization. I need you to think where we're going 18 months from now. So you have to build your scaffolding very quickly. This is where your networks come in. This is where, again, back to the hamster wheel. I hadn't even started. I was like, I don't care. Ship me a laptop. Like, let me get set up. Let me get to know what's going on here. Because it's like your own business, right? If you turn your back on your own business, it's going to fail. So you just have to kind of be obsessed with it for a while.
Yep.
And then being picky about that. You can't come in to a Series B, C, even D company and say, I need 4 directors and I need 3 Come on. Like, one, you got to do stuff. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to prioritize your hires and say, look, I need these 2 and I'll make it work for 6 months. I don't know what it is, but you have to do that. And then you have to tell people in ways that is not HR speak or corporate speak what you are doing. right? I said, listen, I think we got 4 pillars here the next 12, 18 months. And it's not like talent acquisition and org development and engagement. It's, listen, these pillars are grow, these pillars are hire, these pillars are cultivating our workplaces and our culture. You guys want to open offices, and it's scale, and it's AI native, and it's efficiency. And you speak in these terms that are not HR, and you talk about it in terms of where the pain is and what we're trying to do as a business. That gets you the resources.
Yep. Yeah, and you could even start with like, this is what I heard, or this is the problem, and this is my proposed solution, right? And just, again, like plain speak, like a third grader would understand, gets everybody aligned. Because you're right, when you do use HR vernacular or any vernacular, depending on whatever org you're in, you just start to lose people, and it's a low trust signal for folks.
And that's the litmus test, right? Like, I plan to go in front of the company next month and talk about the same exact stuff I just talked about on Monday. And there's your test. Are they going to just be staring at you like your kid does? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And that's the way you reach these companies, especially these early stage companies where these folks are, some of them, it's their first, second working experience. So talk to them as if, they don't know what you're doing or why you're there.
Yep.
The question though here, Nolan, she asked shadowing the CEO. And I'd love your take on this. I'll go after you, but there's a specific question or suggestion to shadow the CEO for 4 weeks.
4 weeks seems like a lot of time to do that. I think I like it as an idea. I think actually I like it. I think you should do it, especially if they're offering it. It's clearly something they want you to do, so you should lean in and say yes. But you can't not do the other things. Like, both things must be true of what we're talking about here and doing that. I think 4 weeks sounds like a lot crazy, but actually, like, if you're shadowing the CEO and assuming this person is like on the ground a lot, then you're going to be able to take care of like all the customer things, or the support things, right? The product. And so I actually can see a ton of benefits that basically solve a lot of the things that you and I are talking about, but it's just not one thing, right? You got to do it all.
Yeah. My take on it, one, I'd be like, what does that mean? Because I don't know if the CEO wants me to shadow like every meeting. Are we walking home together? Are we having dinner with the family? Like, what are we doing here? I will tell you again, just in a real experience, in my mind, what that means is the CEO founder is probably one of the top 3 people you're going to spend your time with. The first 90 days, I've been talking with Jerry every day. And in my mind, that's kind of shadowing. You're kind of like 2 in a box in some way on a lot of things. We send audio text messages. I tell you, Nolan, this guy is an AI genius. He's like a technical, and he's like, I just want to tell you, this is my first audio text I've ever sent in my life. He taught me how to do this, and he sends me them every 2 days, and I'm like, oh my God. No one texts anymore. So there's a lot of, what I'm trying to say with that is there's a lot of quick turns. There's a lot of frequent, quick communications versus, well, let's wait for our one-on-one on Friday. They don't want that. These want you to, the right ones want you to be in there. And to this text, this question, live with them, so to speak.
Yep. Quick feedback loop for sure.
Hey everyone, we'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors. AI changes how work gets done. Recruiting is no exception. Metaview is the AI platform purpose-built for recruiting. If you're looking to level up your AI adoption and see real impact from intake to offer, it's a no-brainer. Metaview's suite of AI agents works for you at every stage of the hiring process. Their platform powers instant job post creation, AI-powered candidate Q&A, insights on pipeline performance, compensation, and so much more. I've seen firsthand how tough it can be to extract consistently high-quality data from candidate conversations. I've been in candidate debriefs where interviewers told us about their feelings instead of what actually happened in the interview. And I've seen VPs and CEOs block hires because they didn't learn anything from skeleton scorecards. Metaview changes all of that. For every candidate in every pipeline, bring radical efficiency and precision to your hiring process with perfect data from every conversation. Metaview covers all of your compliance needs, works with all of your existing tools, and takes less than 3 minutes to set up. Join talent leaders at more than 3,000 elite companies like Brex, Deel, 11 Labs, and Quora, and check out Metaview. Just head over to metaview.ai/heretics to talk to one of Metaview's product experts or get started for free. You'll be up, running, and AI enabled in minutes.
So I'm doing exec search right now, and one of the things that's coming up surprisingly a lot is candidates who have, for whatever reason, it's not working for them in their first like 3 to 6 months. And the market feedback right now is like a little bit of like a bait and switch situation. So like the company overpromised something, like this is where revenue is, or this is how our sales cycle is working, and all of a sudden like they click in like whoa, like that's not what you told me in the interview process. How do you think about stuff like that?
Yeah, one, I don't think those things are ever fully defensible. I just don't. Like, I think that if you're going to be in this game and you're going to join, especially first time founder CEOs, early stage, I mean, it's a risk. And even if you think you've been bulletproof, like I think I did a lot of things, there's going to be stuff that bobs and ebbs and weaves and changes and curveballs. And again, it's the character and disposition of the leader you are and the one that you're partnering with. And that's what I kind of suss out most. It's not their absolute answer on things, because that's just not reality. It's how they approach things. It's, are they agile? Are they flexible? Are they good human? Are they open? So I spent at this company, CPO and Pendo, I hung out with the founder CEO for over 6 months on and off.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is usually 1-2 conversations a month, a lunch or a whatever in person. I spent 2 days straight in July up in Seattle on my own dime, just with the team. And you can ask for those things. I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree. I still think though, Kelly, it's happening way more than I expected. I don't know if it's just like the new breed of company or the new breed of founder. And so what I've been telling my friends when it happens is like, you need to sit down and have the conversation of like, hey, this is what I'm noticing. This is, and name the thing. This is different than what we talked about. And then you need to make the decision for you of like, okay, expectations must be reset. Because otherwise, if your expectations haven't been reset and you're walking into something that is clearly different than what you discussed, how can you be successful, right? Everyone's going to be misaligned. And so I think you need to continue to have alignment conversations. I do love your take though, which is like, there's always unknown unknowns. Like nobody knows everything going into a job. You're lucky if you know like 60%. And so you just have to roll with those punches, especially as an executive. It just comes with the territory.
Yeah. And I was talking to a search firm the other day. I actually love your take. It was 2 days ago. And they're like, there's a data point and the average, I won't say the role, but for this position, the average role for this CXO in this stage of company is 9 months. And I was like,
that's wild.
What? And I'm not trying to prove or disprove that. My meta point is like, sometimes it doesn't work. And I just think that those conversations are less taboo now. And I don't think that, unless you're, being a prick and like not being flexible and you're part of the, most of the problem, I don't think that this should be a combative thing that you beat yourself up for. So, and I think part of having that be cordial and mature and all the things where people don't beat themselves up is to do exactly what you said, is just talk early and often, name the thing, and find out sooner versus later. Finding out at 4 months is better than finding out at 10 months. You know what I mean? Because
Really,
then you
really well
have
said.
to have it on your thing. You don't lose that much time. So I think trying that, but
Totally agree.
the other thing on that is board members. So like, I'm lucky. This is my third Sapphire portfolio company. I've known 2 of the board members across 3 companies now, and that can really help you, have some air cover, have some other places to bounce things off of, and also do a lot of diligence. So that's helpful too. Even if it doesn't work out, you know what I mean? Like,
well, exactly. But there's also no substitute for time in relationships. And that's like a great example of like, if you have a bunch of relationship depth, it reduces the risk of like these unknown unknowns that are going to like potentially like harm you. and harm your ability to have success in the org.
Yeah. I guess my last thought that goes back to the first 90 days. And, we talked about the 4 buckets: listen and learn, short-term wins, long-term strategy, and then building a people team. As part of the long-term strategy, like what I've been doing the last 3 weeks is just being conscious as you're going through the other 3 buckets, what's coming together for you for the story. And what I mean by that is, what are you going to say at the next board meeting? What is the story of the organization, the culture, the business? How are you mentally connecting those things to your pillars and the work you're doing in the metrics? So as an example, right, I joined last month of Q3, right? That means the board meeting will probably be in October. The Q3 board meeting will be in October. What am I going to say for that? And so as I'm going through this, it's just for me, it's like a working whiteboard, but it's an evolving whiteboard sketch of our Q3 QBR for the people team, which ties to the story of Q3 and the rest of the year into Q4 in 2026. So you can do all these things at once smartly, I guess what I'm saying. You don't have to spend 24 hours in a day and be like, oh, number 1, number 2. You can mix and match these things together in a storyline that helps you have a clear point of view and is more efficient in the hamster wheel, so to speak.
Yeah.
So like
some people do that by taking a journal, by the way, of just like every day, just kind of like writing down some learnings and stuff like that, just so you're collecting the thoughts as you go.
Yeah. I have a Google Doc and I write like in paragraphs, like blah, 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 insert metric or number, blah, 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 blah. We're going to insert metric or number. So you get context for these numbers versus just all this bullshit charts you're doing at the 11th hour or no one, you know what I mean? So
100%.
This is a really good one.
Love it. A lot of meat in here for you guys. Hope you enjoy it.
All right. Thanks everyone. See you later.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.